واتل ما أوحي إليك من كتاب ربك لا مبدل لكلماته ولن تجد من دونه ملتحدا.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. We'll continue inshallah ta'ala with the tafsir of Surah Al-Kahf and the fawaid and the benefits that are mentioned after the story of Musa alayhi salam and Al-Khadr. And these benefits, as we are continuing to read from the tafsir of Al-Imam Sa'di rahimahullah, they are principles. This is what benefits are. The benefit is of how to change our lives according to these principles, that it's something that you can always refer back to it. You can always benefit from it in circumstances, in situations that a person face. So this is how the benefits of the Quran, there's no end to it. It's the miraculous words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So continuing without going back to summarize or to go back to what we mentioned before, the last one that we mentioned here is التأدب, to have the manners with the teacher, as we heard from the words of Musa alayhi salam to Al-Khadr. Even though Musa alayhi salam is of a better status and he is a great messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but because of the ilm, it's not because of the individual, it's because of the knowledge of the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that it's a sign of a person exalting the words of Allah, exalting the ilm, the knowledge of the wahy. So that's one of the great means for a person to attain the knowledge, is this adab, is these manners with the people of knowledge. Then continuing, and this is in page 948, in the middle of it, he says here, if you follow inshallah, وَمِنْهَا تَوَاضُعُ الْفَاضِلِ لِلتَّعَلُّمِ مِمَّنْ دُونَهُ. التواضع is to humble oneself. From وضع, when you put something down. So التواضع is when someone is making himself in state of humbleness. Al-Fadl is the virtuous one. From Al-Fadl, the goodness. So Al-Fadl here is to the individual. So if someone that is virtue, someone that is righteous, someone of status, the importance of having this humbleness, لِلتَّعَلُّمِ مِمَّنْ دُونَهُ, to learn from the one that is of a lesser level than him. So what's the context that a person is in? He's in the context of learning. So if you're learning from someone something, even you might be, and of course no one will praise his own self, but this is the principle here, even if a person is of a better status, regardless whether he is of a better status, someone that is more virtue, someone is more righteousness, whatever, there is more knowledge, if you're in the context of learning, then part of that by necessity is that the person humble himself to the one that he learns from, even if he is of a lesser level than him, whether it's worldly level or something else. فإن موسى بلا شك أفضل من الخضر. Musa, no doubt, he's better than Al-Khadr. And Musa alayhi salam, he knows that this is different than a believer even praising his own self. Allah knows best who's best and who's better than who. And whoever claims or thinks that he thinks of himself as being better than anyone, that's a disease in the heart. But Musa alayhi salam, of course, he knows this is a messenger of Allah and the best of his people at his time. And when the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, when he said, أَنَا سَيِّدُ وَلَدِ آدَمْ وَلَا فَخْرٍ, I am the best of all of the human beings, وَلَا فَخْرٍ, I'm not having fakhr, no arrogance, no pride in this. This is haqq, this is truth, the truth that he has to convey. And how he humbled himself to learn from Al-Khadr, which is of a lesser level than him. وَمِنْهَا, so again, as you see also the people of knowledge, when they attend a session of knowledge, even if it's from someone that is of a lesser level than them, they would act accordingly, like a student of knowledge. And that's all part of the tawadu', or the humbleness that a person should be upon. And that's part of the tawadu' lillah. Man tawadu'a lillah. that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He would elevate him, whoever brings himself down for the sake of Allah. ومنها, and from these benefits, تعلم العالم الفاضل للعلم الذي لم يتمهر فيه ممن مهر فيه. The ta'allum is the act of learning of the virtue or the righteous alim, the person of knowledge, to the knowledge that he is not expert in. لم يتمهر, يتمهر is the present tense. فيه ممن مهر, that's the past tense. And al-mahir, as it's mentioned in the hadith of the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام, al-mahir bil-Quran مع السفرة الكرام البررة. The one that is good in Quran, mahir, that means he is good at it. He's someone that is special in it. He is well versed in that subject. And al-mahara, this is the talent of a person in whatever he is good at. Whether it's matters of, if it's a surgeon, he is jarrahun mahir. If he's a carpenter, he is najjarun mahir. If he's a teacher, muallimun mahir, and so on. Or he is mahirun bil fiqh, mahirun bil aqidah, and so on. So for a alim, person of knowledge, to learn a subject of knowledge that he is not good at, to learn it from someone that is good and talented in that particular part of knowledge. Because no one can claim that they have all the different aspects of knowledge. وإن كان دونه في العلم بدرجات كثيرة, even if the one that is learning from him is less than him with many, many levels in knowledge in general. Someone, say for example, he is an expert in the linguistics, in the Arabic language, but he lacks so much in other levels of knowledge. And someone that is very knowledgeable, but he's not in the same level as that person in the Arabic language. So he would learn from him. He would go and learn from him, whether it's the qira'at of the Quran, language of the Quran, things like this. فإن موسى عليه السلام من أولي العزم من المرسلين. Musa عليه السلام, from the great messengers and the messengers of strong determinations from the messengers of Allah. الذين منحهم الله وأعطاهم من العلم ما لم يعطي سواهم. The ones that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed upon them. Al-manh is that you give someone something, bestow upon someone something. وأعطاهم, and He gave them from the knowledge what He did not give other than them, like them. ولكن في هذا العلم الخاص, but this special علم that Al-Khadr he had, كان عند الخضر ما ليس عنده. He did not have it, meaning Musa عليه السلام. فلهذا حرص على التعلم منه. That's why he had the hirs, is the eagerness. And the word hirs can either used in a negative way or in a good way. So al-hirs, if a person is greedy, for example, that's not a good thing. But if it's the eagerness to learn, eagerness to do what is good, that means this is a good word. على التعلم منه, from learning from him. فعلى هذا, so as a result of that what's mentioned, لا ينبغي للفقيه المحدث إذا كان قاصرا في علم النحو أو الصرف أو نحوه من العلوم ألا يتعلمه ممن مهر فيه وإن لم يكن محدثا ولا فقيها. So hopefully this sentence is also clear. That means لا ينبغي, it should not befit a faqih. Someone is faqih, someone is muhaddith. These are the alqab or the titles for people that are expert in fiqh, expert in hadith. It should not befit someone in that position if he was having qusur, qasiran, deficiency, some weakness in some of the knowledge, like the knowledge of nahu or as-sarf or the like of that from the ulum, the sciences, that he does not learn it from the one that is mahara fihi, someone that is talented in it. It does not befit him not to learn it, but rather he should humble himself, this great alim, to learn these types of ulum from someone that is talented in it, that is of a lesser level of knowledge than him. وإن لم يكن محدثا ولا فقيها, even if he was not muhaddith or faqih. And it seems to be that in many cases, let me rephrase this, it's very rare to find a alim that is reached the highest level at his time in all of these different types of sciences. And if someone, that's why, for example, like the great ulama, like Sheikh Hussein Tamiya rahimahullah, he was someone that if you ask him about every matter of the sciences of knowledge, he would, be the head of of those who are under this branch of knowledge. These exceptional individuals, they're not always present at all times. So if a person thinks that he can only get his knowledge from one person and one person only, this is of course wrong. But to learn and to see where the points of weaknesses, if a person learns the mandatory knowledge, the obligatory knowledge, someone that would put them on the right track of learning, and then when they reach a certain level, then they see where the points of weaknesses and they learn it. And also you'd find many times people, especially with the linguistics, the Arabic and the Qira'at and the Quran, many of them, they might be only good at this and not good in the matters of fiqh and deen and so on. And that's why he specifically mentioned that example for the students of knowledge. And you find that happens a lot. And that's why a person, not necessarily for someone start to seek knowledge, that he wants to be an expert in all of this, but to go according to what the people of knowledge make for oneself as a schedule, as a way to learn, and to be patient with that till a person reach the level where he learned all of the basics from all of the different ulum, and especially in one branch or the other, again to perfect oneself. And we learned that from what Musa alayhi salam he did. ومنها, he says, إضافة العلم وغيره من الفضائل لله تعالى. To attribute the knowledge and other than that, everything, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To attribute that to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. والإقرار بذلك, and to confess with that. وشكر الله عليها, and to be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the more the person excel in this, the more that he is fulfilling really the essence of the tawheed of Allah, the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His rububiyyah, in His uluhiyyah, in His names and attributes. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is al-alim. So the ilm is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So to always attribute that to Allah, and to confess to that, and to have this humbleness in the heart, and to be grateful to Allah. لِقَوْلِ تُعَلِّمَنِي مِمَّا عُلِّمْتَ. When Musa alayhi salam, he said to Al-Khadr, that can I follow you so that you teach me from what you have been taught. By who? By Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أي مِمَّا عَلَّمَكَ اللَّهُ تعالى. So the ilm is from Allah. And that's why the person has to humble himself. So when a person is teaching others, he's teaching others what Allah taught him. So it's not like he spent so much of his effort and his wealth, and he should have something in return from the people as a condition for him to teach them. This is not something that is not good for a person to do so. The way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed the ilm on someone, he should do the same thing to others. And that's different than to have someone given from the ar-razq. And we talked about ar-razq, the ulama, they've been to be given this so that they would have all of the time to teach. That's something else, but it's not a condition for someone to teach and to spread the matters of knowledge. ومنها, also from it, أن العلم النافع هو العلم المرشد إلى الخير. What is the benefiting knowledge? Is the ilm that guides towards khayr, what's good. So when he says al-ilmu nafi', that means there are part of ilm that is not nafi'. And we talked about that also before. How can knowledge be not benefiting? It can be benefiting in itself, but it's not benefiting for the individual or that specific person, individual, because he's not into that level yet, or this is not what he's facing now yet, right? So if someone embraces Islam today, for example, and then instead of teaching him the aqidah, the tawheed, and how to make salah because it's time for the salah, someone is teaching him the Arabic language, for example. That's not benefiting for him, even though it's a benefiting knowledge in itself. So أن العلم النافع هو العلم is the ilm that guides the person to do al-khair and to do what is good. فكل علم يكون فيه رشد وهداية, every knowledge that has in it rushd, to know exactly what is right and what is wrong, and guidance لطريق الخير, and to be guided to the path of goodness, وتحذير عن طريق الشر, and warning against the path of evil, أو وسيلة لذلك, or the means to it, فإنه من العلم النافع, it's definitely from the benefiting knowledge. But this is, a person needs a person of knowledge to specify these things for him. Because with the lack of knowledge, a person might think what's the benefit of me learning this when this is what's happening to the ummah, or when people are this or that? People start using their own opinions and desires. But rather to learn from a person of knowledge that have gone through the path of knowledge. And people are different. Someone that wants to seek knowledge seriously versus someone just wants to know what Allah wants from him to be able to worship Allah. So people are different, the different means, the different objectives. And to ask the people of knowledge, but the benefiting knowledge is what guides the person to what is good, that has guidance in it, the path to the good, and the warning from the path of evil, and knowing even the evil is part of the benefiting knowledge to avoid it. As the hadith of Hudayfa radiallahu anh, that the people used to ask the Prophet ﷺ about what is good, and I used to ask the Prophet ﷺ about the evil, مَخَافَةَ أَنْ يُدْرِكَنِي, out of the fear that it might reach me or that I witness it. So فَإِمَّا أَنْ يَكُونَ ضَارًّا أَوْ لَيْسَ فِيهِ فَائِدَةً. So some of the knowledge, if it's not benefiting, either it's going to be harmful or there's no benefit in it. Someone start to learn doubts or what the enemies of Islam say about the deen of Islam when he's not well versed in matters of belief yet. This can be harmful for him because he's going to listen to the doubt without having what push it away or refutes it. So things has, of course, details to it. لقول أن تعلمني مما علمت رشدا. He said that he asked Al-Khadr to teach him from what he learned rushda. To what's the purpose of that? Is to do what is good and to be guided to what is right. ومنها, also from these benefits, أن من ليس له قوة الصبر على صحبة العالم والعلم وحسن الثبات على ذلك أنه يفوته بحسب عدم صبره كثير من العلم. So what is this? أن من ليس له قوة, the one that does not have قوة الصبر, the strength, the power of patience, for the companionship of a alim. To have the companionship of a alim, that requires sabr. It's not going to be the most fun companionship. That means a person has to have patience. And the same thing with regards to knowledge and seeking knowledge. وحسن الثبات على ذلك, and he has the good way of being steadfast upon this. If a person doesn't have this strength of patience, that he would miss so much of knowledge according to how weak his sabr is. So it's characteristics, and this is a rule for the characteristics. If something that is a characteristic and people can be strong or weak at it, the effect of it will be also according to the weakness or the strength of it. So if ilm requires sabr, if ilm requires patience, so the stronger patient person will be better than you in ilm. And the weaker in sabr, he will be weaker than you in ilm. It's all according to who have more sabr, who have more patience, who have more adab, who have more, and so on, with these different things, that the objective of it is one thing or the other. So فَمَنْ لَا صَبْرَ لَهُ, the one that has no patience, he got bored very quickly. لَا يُدْرِكُ الْعِلْمِ, he can never attain the knowledge. Right? So as they say, don't waste your time. So either you have patience, or it's not a sinful thing if a person doesn't want to be from the great people of knowledge, but definitely it's the highest level that a person, if he has the means, he should. وَمَنْ اسْتَعْمَلَ الصَّبْرَ وَلَازَمَهُ, and whoever is upon الصبر, استعمال الصبر is that you always be upon sabr, and to have something to be patient with. It's as they say, even though it's not a form of exaggeration or anything, if a person doesn't find himself having a matter that he has to endure patience to achieve, he needs to find something to have patience with, because patience is an act of obedience to Allah. Right? It's not that a person will go out of his way to find something to be patient with, but maybe there's something wrong that a person is doing. Without sabr, without patience, there is no benefits, there's no achievements. You have to be patient. If you're, mashallah, you defeated the enemy within to be able to pray Salatul Fajr in the masjid, that took a while, for example. Is that the end or the last battle that you would fight that will require patience? No, something else. Get up at night and make Salat Qiyamul Layl, for example. right? Patience with having husn al-khuluq with those who you don't feel like having husn al-khuluq with them. It's not about just pardoning the one that harms you, it's to make ihsan. There's always levels. It's to do goodness to the ones that are not good to you. So it's all one level after the other, and everything requires patience. So من استعمل الصبر, as you see here the words, ومن استعمل الصبر ولازمه. It does not, he did not mention a sabr on what. We always associate patience with something, right? No, we need to have patience. And that's why if we don't find, again, if we don't find something that you need to be patient with, figure out something that you need to be patient with. Have more challenges in one's life, in according to the ilm, of course, not something that is extreme or something that is of no benefit. And have patience, endure patience. You would find so much great matters in one's life, even happiness and goodness in this life, when a person is like this. And with one act of ibadah, fasting, for example, fasting from the haram, fasting from what Allah forbade, fasting from the things that is of no benefit, and so on. So whoever استعمل الصبر, always having patience in his life, ولازمه, and he's always with this mulazama, does not depart from it, أدرك به أدرك به كل أمر سعى فيه. He would attain by the sabr. به refers to the sabr. كل أمر, every matter that he is taking the means and diligently going to achieve it. لقول الخضر يتعذر من موسى. Where did we benefit this from the story? When Al-Khadr was saying as an excuse, يتعذر, from Musa عليه السلام, بذكر المانع لموسى من الأخذ عنه. When he told him as a way of making as an excuse by mentioning what prevented Musa from taking the knowledge from him, that إنه لا يصبر معه. That, how can you be with me when it's something that you won't have patience with? So that means you have to have patience. Without patience, and this is something that maybe the people of knowledge, someone even wants to study, wants to memorize the Quran, are you going to be patient? Or you're excited now, and after some time you'll quit. So to work on a sabr as a separate tool, separate talent, what's the words for it? It's part of one's personality. To be someone that is sabur, someone that has patience. He knows what is right, and then he put himself into the track of a sabr. He does not leave it with every matter of his life. Let's take one more, inshallah ta'ala. As you see, each one of them is a life-changing principle in life. And the amazing benefits that we can learn from the book of Allah, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy for us, inshallah. One last one for today, inshallah. He says, وَمِنْهَا أَنَّ السَّبَبَ الْكَبِيرَ لِحُصُولِ الصَّبْرِ. Since the sabr is mentioned, the great means, sabab, to attain, to have the husul of a sabr, إحاطة الإنسان علما وخبرة بذلك الأمر الذي أمر بالصبر عليه. To encompass oneself with the knowledge and the expertise and the with regards to that matter that he is commanded to have patience with. That's one of the very and the great mean to help the person to have sabr. Sabr is bitter. Sabr is not fun. So what makes people turn away from it is because they sometimes the lack of knowledge. They don't know exactly what they're gonna get from the sabr. And as we know the very famous repeated example all the time, if the $1,000,000 is given, but just be patient for 1 month or whatever, then the sabr would be fun actually. A person would not have any means of suffering whatsoever. He will enjoy it. Why? Because his heart is attached to the end of it. So the ilm and what that leads to. And when something is repeated, and this is matters of dunya is very clear, people don't have problems with sabr. Not all of them, of course. But someone, matter is repeated. If you go to the school for 4 years, this is what you're going to get, and everything is by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the matter is repeated. People know that this is the case, they will have sabr. Wa illa, otherwise, if a person does not have the knowledge of what he is commanded to have patience for what? It's not about something without a purpose. فالذي لا يدريه أو لا يدري غايته, the things that he does not know it, and he does not know the غاية, the objective of it, ولا نتيجته, and the results of it, ولا فائدته, and what's the benefit of it, وثمرته, also the objective of it, ليس عنده سبب الصبر. He does not have the means of patience. You talk to a child, for example, trying to convince him to memorize the Quran. What's the benefit? For himself. Why am I doing this? Yeah, I'm just doing that because my parents have told me to do it. And mashallah, this is sufficient enough if they're young enough not to know these types of things. But the more they know, the more the person, and there's nothing better than matters, of course, of al-Iman. So he says, لِقَوْلِهِ وَكَيْفَ تَصْبِرُ عَلَى مَا لَمْ تُحِطُ بِهِ خُبْرًا. When he said to Musa alayhi salam, how can you be patient with something that you're not encompassed with your knowledge, with your well acquainted of it? You don't know it. So how can you be patient with it? فجعل, he made الموجب, فجعل الموجب لعدم صبره عدم إحاطته خبرا بالأمر. He made what made Musa alayhi salam that he has no patience with is that the fact that he's not well acquainted of this matter that he's commanded to be patient with, because it's not going to be explained to him right away. So this is also, since we know now the virtue of sabr, if a person knows, I need to have sabr, I need to have this quality that is called sabr. We're not talking about what you have to have sabr for. We're just talking about you have to have sabr as a human being. So how can I achieve this quality in myself? So now that person, when he has sabr, you give him a task. You know that he has sabr. This is something that is good. He knows how to deal with his own self. He's going to have that strength to achieve it. Now he has been built, and this is the level, and forgive me for taking too much on this, but whether the matters of tarbiyah, whether it's the matter of learning, this is the real men and the real individuals, and both men and women, but it's the quality of the human being that we need to have in our life. Not just our children, but it's everyone, and the matters of deen too, that we need to have this quality of sabr in us, and we have this in the ibadat and the siyam, and to keep on investing in this matter, that it becomes the personality of the person, that he has sabr in him. Then what is left is the ilm, to know what you need to be or to have sabr on. Otherwise, many people might have sabr, very strong patience on something that is of no benefit to them. Look at, for example, those who are maybe spreading sins on the face of earth, or someone that is a star, they call them stars, or whatever. They might deprive themselves from all kinds of things. And they have so much sabr in their diet and their actions. All of this is because of just something that is even sometimes sinful for them. So then how can then the people of the haqq, the people of the truth, they know the truth, and it's the everlasting joy for them, and their sabr is not even equal to the sabr of those who are upon sins. This is a shameful thing. This is really something that we should be ashamed of. And that's why when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about as-sabr in the end of Surah Al Imran, يا أيها الذين آمنوا اصبروا وصابروا ورابطوا واتقوا الله لعلكم تفلحون, which means, O you who believe, اصبروا, be patient, and وصابروا. Sabiru means what, if you remember? That means you have sabr, that when your enemies have sabr, your sabr will defeat their sabr. Your sabr, your patience is much stronger than the patience of your enemies, the patience of the evil ones. Because you're supposed to be upon the truth. So how can they defeat you in their sabr, with the subject of a sabr, regardless of what they're having sabr upon or for or so. So I hope that this is something that is clear, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us strength and to seek help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to take the means to attain it, as we heard, is with ilm, with knowledge, with certainty. And that's the benefit of knowledge. The benefit of knowledge is not just to listen to some lectures and to feel good about it, and then no effect in our life and our way of conducting ourselves and actions and things like this. We have to endure patience. And as the statement of Umar radiallahu anhu, that the best days of his life was in patience. And this is a true statement. There is an amazing statement. وجدنا خير أيامنا في الصبر. The best days of your life is when you're enduring patience. Not the negative meaning that people think of, that you're suffering so much. Sometimes people, they call patience suffering. It's not suffering. You're being patient for something that is good for you. And you'd still have, alhamdulillah, eat food and drink and happiness and all kinds of things. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us benefit from what we heard. And we'll stop here, inshallah. And we continue with more of these evidences, inshallah. طيب, the attendance code is العلم النافع عن العلم المرشد. العلم النافع عن العلم المرشد. نعم. طيب, بارك الله فيكم. We'll continue inshallah ta'ala. Tomorrow actually will be Saturday inshallah. Saturday inshallah, and the dars will continue inshallah till the last 10 days of Ramadan will stop inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us witness Laylatul Qadr. ربنا يبارك فيكم. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.